Hey there guys, Aaron Brink with Brink's Bees here. And today I'm going to go over some super late winter feeding, very early spring. Generally I like to do this when the red maples are starting to bloom. A lot of times in a lot of areas of the country, red maples will bloom even when it's too cold for the bees to fly, or the bees might have a few days here and there to fly and grab some pollen and start rearing brood. As you can see, the tree right behind me, right here, that's a red maple, and as you can see, it's already starting to pop, but it's only 33 degrees outside today, so bees aren't going to be getting that. Now, what I'm going to be showing you is a type of emergency feed. I only use this for my queen rearing operation. I have breeder queens that I absolutely can't I can't lose $1,000 on a queen, so I'm putting emergency feed on these. A lot of times what happens this time of year is bees will get out, they'll get some pollen, that queen will start rearing brood, and if they don't have enough energy in the hive or enough resources, they'll brood up real big, and then they won't have the energy to warm that brood and keep the cluster warm enough, and you'll end up with some starvation and die-off. So I'm going to show you this. It's a take on a few different people's techniques, and I'll list those techniques later in the video. So hope you enjoy it, guys. Thanks. Alright guys, we're back. I'm going to show you what we're using to make this up, and the recipe for it, and why we do it this way. So what you're going to need for this recipe, this is just a sugar cake recipe. This is a take on Billy Davis's cold fondant recipe, and also a take on Jason Christensen's mountain camp, and those have been used for years. So what you're going to need is you're going to need 10 cups of sugar, and I use this is a recipe for a KitchenAid mixer. You can do this in just a pot, but the KitchenAid really makes it a heck of a lot easier for you. You need 10 cups of regular granulated sugar in a KitchenAid. Once you get your 10 cups in there of sugar, you'll add half a cup of cold water, just half a cup of cold water, and 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar. You're going to put it all in that KitchenAid or in your pot, and if you're using a KitchenAid, turn it on, let it mix for about 5 minutes. And once you let it mix for about 5 minutes, it's going to turn into this wet sand consistency. It's not going to stick to your hands. As you can see, it's not really sticky, but it's got that wet sand consistency, and you really want that to be very uniform, and that's why I like to use a KitchenAid as well. Once you've got that wet sand consistency, you're going to need the small paper plates. Walmart carries them. They're about the size of your palm, and they're only about maybe ½ an inch deep or 1/4 of an inch deep. And the reason you want that is you're going to take your sugar, pack it onto your plates, and then what you'll do is you'll take those plates, turn your oven on the lowest setting, and then you're going to put your plates on cookie sheets. I have this oven at 170 degrees, and these sugar cakes are going to cook for about 30 minutes. And it's going to turn into this hard cake that you can kind of see here. These have already been going for a while. Notice it's pretty much a cake, and if I want to, I can just flip it over in the oven. And that's how you'll do it on the hive, is you just flip it over, and now you have this cake just like that. Notice it's already set up and hard. Okay, and that's what we want. The reason I use the small paper plates is because I overwinter a lot of bees in 5-frame nukes, especially my breeder queens, or double nuke hives from Michael Palmer technique. And you notice that if you flip that plate upside down, it fits perfectly in a 5-frame or 4-frame nuke. I generally put 2 of these sugar cakes in a nuke. The other reason I use the small paper plates is because of the depth. I run lids with a ½ inch spacer on them. And also, if you're using inner covers, that small paper plate, that height will fit right under your inner cover. So, something to think about, guys. This is a great winter feed option. One thing I really like to do too is once I flipped that sugar cake over onto the hive, let's say this was a sugar cake, I'll take some Bee Pro or Ultra Bee or AP23 pollen powder, just dry pollen powder, and I'll sprinkle it on top of that cake, and that also gives them a little bit of protein as well. So anyway, guys, Aaron Brink with Brink's Bees, and that is our late winter, early spring emergency feeding. I generally do this for small nukes, hives that might be struggling a little bit, and I definitely do it for my breeder queens. That's the only thing I really do it for, is small nukes and my breeder queens. So something to think about. All right guys, a little addition here. Just going to show you how to pack those paper plates. So grab yourself a handful of your wet sugar, bring it in, kind of spread it out, and you'll get just another good clump. Put it on top, kind of spread it out, and you just want to go around and really kind of make sure it's all uniform, and really put some pressure down on it and get it nice and tight and hard, packed down. And then all you're going to do is take it, and you can stack them on the cookie sheet, 3 or 4 high, and then like I said, about 170, 180 degrees in the oven for about 30 minutes, and then they're ready to go. Hey there guys, just one last thing I wanted to add to this video. You don't have to do this that late in the winter. This is something that you can even do midwinter, like say in December or November. Depending on where you live, you know, that may be start of winter or early winter for you. So the biggest thing is just make sure you do this on a warm day. You want it to be over 40 degrees, and it needs to be a quick, open that hive up, turn that paper plate and sugar block over, pull the paper plate out, and then shut the hive up. And you really want to make sure that you get that sugar block right next to or right on top of where the cluster is, because all the heat is going to rise up to that sugar, and that's that thermal corridor in the hive is where the bees are actually going to be able to move up and down. And that's one of the big problems in winter is with starvation. A lot of times the bees get so cold they can't move side to side, but they can generally move up and down. And if you put that sugar cake right above the bees, they can generally move up to it, and it's a good emergency feed. So that's just one thing I wanted to add, guys. You can do this at any time. I like to do it right at the start of early spring, and really helps them out. So anyway, guys, Aaron Brink with Brink's Bees. Have a good one.